guiding savvy devotee, a detail-oriented cook, and impeccable in her deity worship and deity dressing services. She is also currently serving the Bhakti Sangha Japa group on behalf of ISKCON Bhagavad Mahavidyalaya, North America. I'd like to welcome our today renowned speaker, Her Grace Kirtida Sundari Dasi. Hare Krishna Mataji, welcome.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you so much for warmly welcome, for inviting in this forum to speak on Srimad Bhagavatam. Definitely it's a great privilege, it's an honor. Of course, it's an opportunity to glorify Srimad Bhagavatam and to purify my own self. Yes, Prabhuji, with your permission, can we start now?
Yes, Mataji, please start.
Okay.
Thank you, Mataji.
So before I start, I hope my voice is audible.
Yes, Mataji. Yes, that's good. Yeah, it's audible.
Thank you. Thank you, dear devotees. Thank you so much for your enthusiastic presence. Thank you for being here and showing interest in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Really grateful to each and every one of you. So let's begin with our invocation prayers and then we'll begin today's subject matter. Om Ajnanaatimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shrirupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी शिराधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां भावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिचारु स्वामिनिति नामिने हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे गुरुवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तदालय कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः आनंद लीलामय विग्रहाय हेमाभदेव्य छवि सुंदराय तस्मै महाप्रेम रस प्रदाय चैतन्य चंद्राय नमो नमस्ते चैतन्य चंद्राय नमो नमस्ते चैतन्य चंद्राय नमो नमस्ते मुखं करोति वाचालं भंगुं लंगायते गिरिं यत्कृपः तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्येश्वरम् ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जय उदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिने नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्घ्रिये हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you once again for your very, very kind association. Really grateful for to each and every one of you. So today, the theme of our session is the pastime of Vrtasura, who is a demon, but he is a godly demon. So before we'll start, it's an etiquette because Srimad Bhagavatam is just not a book. It is an literal incarnation of Lord Shri Krishna. So it's a basic etiquette that one should glorify Srimad Bhagavatam. After all, why are we studying Srimad Bhagavatam? What is there in Srimad Bhagavatam that's going to help us in our spiritual life? So in Bhagavatam, Sutta Goswami says, Shrunvata Shraddhaya Nittam Grinatascha Swachestitam Kalena Ati Dirghena Bhagavan Vishate Hridi. That one who hears Srimad Bhagavatam, how? Shrunvata, one should hear, but how one should hear? Just like that, just like we hear some political news or sometimes we hear something about the cinema or the movie stars. No, we have to hear with rapt attention. We have to hear with Shraddha. And then, should we hear once in a week, once in a month? It's enough? No. It says, Shunvatam Shraddhaya Nityam. One should hear Srimad Bhagavatam. One should recite Srimad Bhagavatam. One should study Srimad Bhagavatam Nityam, daily. Grindatascha Swachestitam. And just not here. One should accept. One should take the matter. One should take the lessons of Srimad Bhagavatam very seriously and imbibe in one's life. And then what will happen? Then kalena na ati dirghena. Dirghena means for a long time. Ati dirghena means for a very long time. But it says na ati dirghena, means in a very short time. What will happen? Bhagavan Vishate Hridi. The Supreme Lord will take residence in our heart. In a very short time, the Supreme Lord will be residing in our heart. But then what Supreme Lord will be doing? When he comes, he takes his residence in our heart. That itself is such a wonderful blessing if the Supreme Lord comes. But then you will say, well, the Supreme Lord is always there in the heart of everyone as Paramatma. Yes, the Supreme Lord is there, but the conditioned soul like myself, how many times acknowledge the presence of that Supreme Lord in the heart? So after studying Bhagavatam with Shraddha, with rapt attention, with accepting the message and the lessons of Srimad Bhagavatam and daily studying it, then the Supreme Lord who is staying in our heart, we turn our face towards that Supreme Lord. We acknowledge his presence. Yes, he's there as Paramatma, but how many of us acknowledge? After studying Bhagavatam, we acknowledge, we get that intelligence that the Supreme Lord is there. Bhagavan Vishate Hridi. He takes his residence, and we, the soul, start taking the acknowledge. It starts acknowledging the presence of that Supreme Lord. And then what the Supreme Lord does? Pravishtha Karna Randrena Swanam Bhava Saroruham Thunoti Shamalam Krishna Salisya Yathasharad. Then the Supreme Lord, when the holy name of the Lord enters Karna Randrena through the ear holes, then the Supreme Lord, in the form of the holy name, takes his residence in the heart. He sits on the lotus in the heart of his devotees. And what he does there, Dhunoti Shamalam Krishna, he himself engages in washing away, driving away all the anarthas in our heart. Our heart is full of anarthas, and the Supreme Lord takes his prime duty to wash away all the anarthas. And he gives the example how, just like the pools get so muddy during the rainy season, but as soon as the autumn comes and the first rain in the autumn season, it clears the pools of muddy water. Similarly, the Supreme Lord, who takes the residence in the heart of a devotee, clears away all the anarthas, drives away all the anarthas from the heart of a devotee. So we all want that our heart should be cleansed and the Supreme Lord can reside in our heart. So for that, we should understand that how this Srimad Bhagavatam is very important. That's why really grateful to ISKCON of Bhagavad Mahavidyalaya North America that we started this 21 days Srimad Bhagavatam challenge. Why 21 days? Why not more? Why not less? Because also it is said that anything when it is done with determination, anything that when it is done with dedication, with Shraddha, with faith for 21 days, it becomes a habit. So for 21 days, if we practice anything, then it becomes a habit of that jiva. So therefore, if we practice studying Srimad Bhagavatam for 21 days, then it will become a habit. And every day we'll get an opportunity. Every day we'll die to study Srimad Bhagavatam. But it has to be with pure dedication and with pure determination. So on that note, we will start our today's presentation. After glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam, who is non-different from Krishna, I'll just share my screen and we'll discuss the pastime of Vrtasura. So this pastime of Vrtasura comes in the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And in the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it spans over from chapter 7 to chapter number 17. So many verses, so many chapters are there. We'll try to cover in an hour as far as Lord Krishna allows us to do so. So this pastime is a very beautiful pastime and so much to learn, practical examples through this pastime. So how it starts is that Sukadev Goswami, he is narrating this entire thing to Parikshit Maharaj. And first of all, he gives the lineage of Daksha, Prajapati Daksha, how he begot 60 daughters in the womb of his wife Ashikni. And then out of those 60 daughters, 17 daughters were given to Kashyapa Muni. And one of the wife of Kashyap Muni was Aditi, who was the mother of Adityas. And one of the Aditya, his name was Twashta. So why I'm mentioning, where is Vrtasura in picture? But we'll come to know. But please understand that how Kashyapa got married to one of the daughter of Daksha, and her name was Aditi, and through Aditi, they got a son, Twashta. And this Twashta later got married to Rachna, who was the daughter of Daityas. So she was the daughter of Daitya. Her name was Rachna, and she got married to Twashta, who was one of the Aditya, the son of Kashyapa and Aditi. And this Twashta has two sons, Sannivesha and Vishwarup. So this is how Sukadev Goswami was explaining the entire lineage to Parikshit Maharaj. And then Sukadev Goswami said, you know what, Parikshit? The Devatas, they accept this Vishwarup, who was the son of Twashta and Rachna. They accepted Vishwarup as their guru, as their spiritual master. Although Vishwarup was the son of the daughter of the demons, Rachna was the daughter of the demons, but still Devatas accepted him as his priest. And this entire thing to accept Vishwarup as their spiritual master was actually instructed by Lord Brahma himself. Why Lord Brahma came into the picture? Because Lord Brahma instructed them, Indra, to accept Twashta's son Vishwarup as his spiritual master, because Brahaspati, who was the original spiritual master of Indra, he abandoned him because Indra disrespected him. And there Sukadev Goswami ended. But our Parikshit Maharaj, he is such a keen learner, such a keen listener, that he wants to know every bit of it. He became very curious. He became so curious that he said, oh, Sukadev Goswami, I want to know I want to know why Brahaspati rejected the Devatas. What was their offense to their Guru? What Indra and the other demigods did that they offended Brahaspati, that Brahaspati has to leave the kingdom, the place, the heavenly planet of Indra? And why? What was the circumstances that Indra has to accept Vishwarup as their spiritual master? So this was the natural curiosity that came in the heart of Parikshit Maharaj. And seeing that curiosity in the heart of Parikshit Maharaj, when Parikshit Maharaj posed this question to Sukadev Goswami started narrating. And he said, Parikshit, once upon a time, Indra, who was the king of the demigods, he was sitting in his assembly, nicely enjoying the dances of Apsaras. And he was praised by the various demigods. And he was praised by the Siddhas, by the Charanas, by the Gandharvas. And he was simply enjoying. But at that time, Brahaspati, who was the spiritual master, he came, he entered that assembly. But Indra was too much absorbed. He was absorbed in his material opulence that he forgot himself. And he did not pay any respect to Brahaspati. Then Brahaspati, he became aware that Indra is so puffed up. He's so proud. He has proud of his material opulence. And thinking this way, he immediately disappeared from that assembly, nowhere to found again. And then Indra, he came to know, he actually became most repentant. He understood that Brahaspati has left him, and understanding that because of his opulence, because of his pride, because of which he forgot to acknowledge the presence of his spiritual master, the spiritual master Brahaspati has left him, has left the palace. So therefore, he was not able to beg pardon from his spiritual master, because he tried to find, but Brahaspati was nowhere to find. So because of his disrespectful behavior towards Brihaspati, towards his spiritual master, the demons, they took advantage of it, and they attacked the Adityas. They attacked the demigods, and Indra lost all his opulence, and he was conquered by the demons, who defeated all the demigods in a great fight. And finally, the demons, they occupied Indra's throne. So here we get to learn one lesson, that how we have to protect ourselves from aparad, from the offenses, because these offenses are such that keep us off the fence of the spiritual life. So offense to one's spiritual master, because of immaturity and because of false ego that Indra did, that leads to one's fall down. So as we see in the case of Indra, how he was dejected, he lost his throne. So we also should try to understand, if we offend our spiritual master, there is a guarantee fall down spiritually as well as materially. Then Indra became so dejected, and along with the other demigods, he went and he took shelter of Lord Brahma. Understanding the situation, what Indra did, Lord Brahma became so angry. He chastised Indra, and he said that this is all because you offended your spiritual master. Now there is no way that you can be protected. But then Indra and all the other demigods, they begged Lord Brahma that there should be some solution. And then following the orders of Lord Brahma, all the demigods, they accepted Vishwarup, who was a Brahmana, who was the son of Twashta. They accepted him as their priest. So it was Brahma's order who ordered them that you go to Vishwarup and accept him as your spiritual master. But Brahma also warned Indra that you should able to tolerate the inclination of Vishwarup towards the demons. Why? Because Twashta's mother, Rachna, was the daughter of Daityas. So naturally, there is an inclination, there is an affinity, there is an affection of Vishwarup towards the demons also. So Brahma already warned Indra that you have to bear that inclination of Vishwarup towards the demons. On orders of Lord Brahma, Indra accepted Vishwarup as his spiritual master, and he performed 100 sacrifices under the priesthood of Vishwarup, who later gave Indra the Narayan Kavach. So there is an entire chapter on this Narayan Kavach, that how this prayer gives the protection to Indra. So definitely we cannot, because of the shortage of time, we cannot go through that entire chapter. But you devotees, you can read it. There is a beautiful Falashruti also mentioned. And that what is the Falashruti of reciting this Narayan Kavacha. So after getting this Narayan Kavacha from Vishwarup, the demigods again fought with the demons, and finally they conquered the demons and enjoyed the opulences of the entire three worlds. So Indra was happy, all the demigods were happy, they were back into their kingdom, and Indra got this Narayan Kavacha, the Narayan shield. But later, Indra found out. That because of affection for the demons, Vishwarup is secretly supplying some remnants of yagna to demons also. Though Indra was warned by Brahma, but still he thought that what is this? He has given me this Narayan Kavacha. He's performing yagna for me, we the demigods, so that we can be well protected. But on the other hand, he is giving the remnants of the yagna to the demons also at night. So that means they will also become strong. And if they become strong, then definitely it will be invincible for them to defeat later if they attack us. So thinking this way and not able to tolerate, even though warned by Lord Brahma, Indra beheaded Vishwarup. He killed, and Bhagavatam mentions that Vishwarup had 3 heads. And Indra, very mercilessly, he killed Vishwarup. But now, see, Indra has already an offense. He has already committed an aparadh of offending his spiritual master, of disobeying his spiritual master, not respecting him. Now he got another thing, another crown on his head, the crown of Brahmahatya, because Vishwarup was a Brahmana. But then he accepted. He could have neutralized his sinful reactions. But Indra, with folded hands, he accepted. He accepted that curse of Brahmahatya on him, and he suffered for full 1 year. But then, to purify himself, he distributed these reactions among the earth, water, trees, and women. And Indra also benedicted earth, trees, water, and women for accepting 1/4 of his sinful reactions each. So we'll see here that this is the distribution of Indra's sinful reactions. He gave earth the benediction that the ditches in the earth would be filled automatically. But the sinful reaction, the 1/4 part of the sinful reaction was that the earth will have deserts or barren land. Then the trees, their branches and twigs would grow back even when they are trimmed. This was the benediction. But the reaction was that there will be flowing of sap. Women, for the benediction was that they could enjoy lusty desires continuously, even during pregnancy, for as long as sex is not injurious to the embryo. That the sinful reaction is the signs of menstruation that women have every month. Water, the benediction was that it can increase the volume of other substances with which the water is mixed with. But then the sinful reaction is that it has some bubbles and foam, because of which it cannot be used for any purpose. So after Vishwarup was killed, Indra gave his entire sinful reactions. He distributed these sinful reactions among earth, water, trees, and women. And then he came back to his Amravati, his place, and he started ruling. But on the other hand, when Vishwarup was killed, his father Twashta, he got really angry. He was not ready to forgive Indra, and he performed a sacrifice to kill Indra. But then there was a mispronunciation in the mantra. So what happened was that Twashta, when he performed a sacrifice, his intention was that a demon should come out or a jiva should come out who can kill Indra because he wants to kill Indra. So the mantra that he recited was Indra Shatru Vivardhasva, that enemies of Indra may you increase so that they can kill Indra. But our Bhagavatam explains, it's not actually the Bhagavatam, but this I took from Madhurya Kadambini. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains in detail that there are three kinds of ways, the pitch, the sounds that we should follow. One is Udata, that is raised voice. One is Anudata, means on a lower pitch. And one is Swarita. Swarita is the normal way that we speak. So if Indra is Anudata, and Shatru is Udata. Indra is Anudata. Indra, Shatru, Vivardhasva. Then the child produced from the effect of entering the mantra in this manner will kill Indra. So Twashta should have recited Indra Shatru Vivardhasva. Indra should be Anudata and Shatru should be Udata. But what Twashta recited was just the opposite. So he recited Indra as Udata. Indro Shatru Vivardhasva. So what happened? Just because of this small little mistake in pronunciation, it means what he recited was that offering be obtained who will be killed by Indra. So this all happened that instead of chanting the mantra short, Twashta chanted it long. And what happened? That from a sacrificial fire came a fearful personality who looked like the destroyer of the entire creation. So how Vrtasura he was born. And this is the lesson that we learn is that this is what happened when we do some karma kanda activities. So we have to be very, very careful when we chant each and every syllable that we pronounce. And if there is a very little mistake here and there, the entire meaning changes. However, this is not in the case of Bhakti Yoga. In Bhakti Yoga, Krishna just accepts our intentions. No matter how we call him Krishna, we call him Ram, Rama, or like many places they cannot pronounce Ra, so they say Lama. But still, Krishna knows that they are calling out to him. This is the beauty of Bhakti Yoga. Unlike what happens in the Karma Kanda activities, where we have to be very particular in pronouncing each and every syllable of the mantra. So the demon, the fearful demon, appeared, Vrtasura. And Bhagavatam explains and gives the features of that Vrtasura. How he was tall, he was blackish, he was gigantic, he was lustrous, he had a coppery hair, beard, and mustache, red eyes with blazing trident, dancing and shouting with a loud voice. He made the earth tremble as if from an earthquake. As he yawned, he seemed to swallow the sky with his cave like mouth. He seemed to be licking up the stars with his tongue and eating the entire universe with his long, sharp teeth. Seeing this gigantic demon, everyone ran in all directions in great fear. That very fearful demon, the son of Twashta, covered all the planetary system. That's how humongous he was. And therefore his name was Vritra. So what is the meaning of Vritra? One who covers everything. Because he covered the entire planetary system, therefore he was known as Vritra. And because he was a demon, he was known as Asura. So Vritrasura. Then the Devatas, when they saw this fearful feature, the fearful demon, they all become so perturbed. They attacked Vrtasura with their soldiers, striking him with heavenly bows and arrows and other weapons. But Vrtasura, he was invincible. Nobody can defeat him. So even though the demigods were striking him with heavenly bows and arrows and other weapons, he swallowed all those weapons. Finally, Devtas were not able to find any solution to win over this demon. And what's the only solution left is that they approached the Supreme Lord. Time and again, Bhagavatam is the praman for this, is the evidence that how Devatas, when they are perturbed, when they are bewildered, then they seek shelter of the Supreme Lord to find some solution. So they went, they glorified the Supreme Lord, they offered their prayers, and Supreme Lord was very pleased and finally gave them the solution. And he said, you all should go to the Dichi Muni immediately and ask for his body. He is very strong. Strong, why? Because of his knowledge, because of his vows, because of his austerities. He is very strong. And this is this Dadichi Muni only who gave this Narayana Kavacha to Twashta. And Twashta in turn gave that Narayana Kavacha to his son Vishwarup, from where you, Indra, got that Narayana Kavacha. So go to Dadichi Muni and ask him for his body. After hearing these instructions from the Supreme Lord, all the demigods followed and approached Dadichi Muni. They asked Dadichi Muni and they explained everything. And they said, we want your body. Dadichi Muni, at first, jokingly, Bhagavatam describes that jokingly he refused to give up his body. But then he agrees. He agrees and he said, well, this body is so temporary. It is a food for all jackals after death. So may this body may perish at any moment. The body, its riches, relatives, everything should be engaged for the benefit of others. Otherwise, this body is actually the source of misery. Thus, what Dadichi Muni did, he placed himself in his meditation, in his samadhi. He placed himself and meditated on the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. He controlled his senses, he controlled his life here, he controlled his mind and intelligence, and absorbed in trance, he finally absorbed himself on the lotus feet of Lord and gave up his body. So there is one lesson that we all should also learn, that this body is temporary. Time and again, Prabhupada has given us this instruction to understand that we are not this body, we are spirit soul. But then what is the use of this body? This body should be maintained. We should not ignore this body. It should be maintained, but it should be used. The body, mind, and words should be used in the world's highest welfare activity. And what is that highest welfare activity? Is to spread Krishna consciousness, is to give Krishna consciousness to others. That's the only, if we do that, we successfully make the best use of this bad bargain. So with the help of Vishwakarma, the demigods, when they got the bones, the body of Dadichi Muni, they prepared a thunderbolt. So Vishwakarma was employed and he made a thunderbolt out of Dadichi's bone. Then our Indra, he got that thunderbolt. So armed with that thunderbolt weapon, they all prepared themselves and got up on their back of this Eravat and other carriers, and they want to attack Vrtasura. So Bhagavatam explains that at the end of Satya Yuga and at the beginning of Treta Yuga, there was a great fight that took place between the demigods and the asuras. Unable to tolerate the effulgence of the demigods, the asuras, they fled the battle, leaving Vrtasura, who was the commander-in-chief, to fight alone for himself. So all the demons, they just fled away from that battlefield because they were unable to tolerate the effulgence of the demigods. And Vrtasura, being the commander-in-chief of the demons, he was left all alone in that battlefield. Vrtasura saw that his companions, his warriors, they are fleeing the battlefield. So he instructed them in the importance of fighting as well as dying in the battlefield. So our Arjun also got perplexed in Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna says, "Oh Arjun, fight. If you win over, you will enjoy earthly planet. If you die, then you will get heavenly planet. You will rule over heavenly planet." So in both cases, there is a win-win situation. And same, Vrtasura also told all his demon friends, why you are leaving this battlefield. One, if he's victorious, then he will gain all the material possessions. But if he dies in the battlefield, then he attains the residence in one of the celestial heavens. So in either way, fighting is always best if you are fighting for Dharam Yudh. So it's always a win-win situation. Sorry. But the demons, they were not able to accept the words of Vrtasura, their commander-in-chief, who advised them in these dharmic principles, but they were fearful of all the devatas, of all the demigods, and finally they left the battlefield. Now, when the demigods saw Vrtasura's attitude, they were so afraid that they practically fainted, because this Vrtasura, who was the demon, was talking about the dharmic principles on the battlefield. So that made all the demigods bewildered. And then Vrtasura, he began trampling them down. He trampled them down, but unable to tolerate this, our Indra, he threw his club on Vrtasura. So he didn't use his thunderbolt. He used his club with his left hand. He threw the club on Vrtasura, but Vrtasura with his left hand, he easily caught that club and he threw it back on Indra. And that stuck Indra so badly that Indra, along with his elephant, along with Airavat, was pushed back 14 yards and he fell down. And Indra was on the back of elephant, where elephant was vomiting blood. So that was the power of Vrtasura. Vrtasura then instigated Indra. Hey, there is actually the huge fight that is being mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. But in the interest of time, I'll not go through the entire verses. But I'm just trying to give you the gist that what happened. Vrtasura instigated Indra that you should cut off my head with your thunderbolt. You have this thunderbolt. You can kill me easily, oh hero, oh great Indra. I will be very happy if you kill me, because that way I will offer this body to other living entities like jackals and vultures, and thus I will be relieved from my karmic reactions. And I will achieve the dust of the lotus feet of great devotees like Narada. Wow! When Indra heard this, he was struck with wonder. Is he a demon or he is a Vaishnava? Who is he after all? But then Vrtasura said, "O Indra, your thunderbolt is infallible. Why don't you hurl it? Why are you using other small weapons which are of no use? Why don't you use your thunderbolt? You have attacked with your club, but it's all useless. But believe me, your thunderbolt is invincible. It will not go useless, and don't have doubt about this." So just see the condition of Vrtasura. He has all the reasons to lament and get frustrated with his life. His own army left him. The demigods were against him. The sages were against him. Dadichi Muni himself offered his body so that the thunderbolt can be made out of his bones and Vrtasura can be killed. And above all this, the Supreme Lord himself orchestrated his death, because he was the one who sent Indra to the Rishi Muni. So he has all the reasons to lament. But still, Vrtasura has complete faith that this is my Lord's plan. So whatever he has planned will happen for good, for my good, for my benefit, even though now I'm feeling in such a painful situation. But my Supreme Lord has orchestrated, so his plans never fail. So having this mindset, Vrtasura accepted everything. And that's how we should also learn how to accept the dualities in our life. These dualities will be there. This place is Dukhalayam. What else we can expect? But we have to accept. We have to be equipoised, and at the same time, we have to accept the dualities of this world. When Indra got instigated by Vrtasura, Indra thought, oh, this Vrtasura is cheating me. First, he got bewildered by hearing these words of Vrtasura, but then he thought, oh, this Vrtasura is cheating me. He will make the thunderbolt also useless. Now you see the contrast? Vrtasura had full faith that if my Lord has sent Indra to the Dadichi Muni to make this thunderbolt will never be a failure. On the other hand, we'll see Indra who went to Supreme Lord and asking his help, but still has no faith on that thunderbolt. And he is thinking, this Vrtasura is cheating me. He will make this thunderbolt also useless. But to reassure him, Vrtasura understood that what is going on in Indra's mind. And he said, oh Indra, be assured, have some faith. Your victory is guaranteed, is assured. The thunderbolt has been empowered by the prowess of Lord Vishnu and the strength of Dadichi Muni. So ordered by Vishnu, when something is ordered by Vishnu, then surely it is going to win. So kill you, kill me, kill your enemy with this thunderbolt. Because when Vishnu favors a person, then victory, opulence, and all good qualities are assured. And this time, Vishnu is with you. He only orchestrated this whole plan to kill me. Have faith in thunderbolt. Have faith in the words of the Supreme Lord and use this thunderbolt immediately. Seeing that, listening, just telling all this to Indra, still Indra did not throw his thunderbolt. And Vrtasura start thinking, hey, what kind of Indra this is? What should I say? Why Indra sees everything so materially? Why doesn't he have faith in the Supreme Lord's words? Why doesn't he have faith in the thunderbolt? So Vrtasura said, oh, there is no use at all to speak all these things to Indra. There is no use because he is seeing everything materially. He is so materially attached that he has forgotten to trust the words of the Supreme Lord. And then Vrtasura, in his meditation, offered beautiful prayers. So these prayers are the most celebrated prayers in Srimad Bhagavatam. So we'll go one by one. I'll just recommend that everybody, every one of you, try to memorize these prayers. These prayers are the prayers that is coming out from the mouth of Vrtasura. But these prayers are also the prayers of the aspirations of the devotees. We devotees also aspire the same prayers. So what are these prayers? Here Vrtasura, his saying, may I become Das Anudas. That's what our philosophy is also. We also aspire to become Das Anudas. So he says, Aham Hare Tava Padai Kamula Dasanudaso Bhavitasmi Bhuya Manasmarita Shupater Gunamste Grinitava Karma Karotu Kaya. So what Vrtasura is praying, he's saying, oh my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, will I ever again be able to be your servant, of your eternal servants who find shelter only at your lotus feet? O Lord of my life, may I again become their servant so that my mind always thinks of your transcendental attributes. May my words always glorify those attributes, and may my body always engage in the loving service of your Lordship. Grinita vak karma karotu kaya. Through my vak shakti, through my speech, through my mind, may I always be absorbed at your lotus feet. But then the Lord may say, "Oh Vrtasura, why you are praying like this? I give you the results. I give you all the results, including heaven. And if you want liberation, I can give you liberation also. Why you want to become my servant of my servant of my servant? Why you want to become Das? Then Vrtasura said, "No, devotees are very intelligent. They cannot agree for something less." So he says, "No, I don't want anything that gives me separation from you. I don't want anything." And he says, "Nanaka prishtam na cha parameshtham na sarvabhaumam na rasadhipatyam na yoga siddhir apunarbhuvam sva samanjasa tva virahaya kangshe." So what he said, "Oh my Lord, you are the source of all opportunities. But nanaka prishtam, I do not want a desire to enjoy in Dhruvaloka, the heavenly planets, naparameshtyam, neither the planet where Lord Brahma resides, nor do I want to be the ruler of all the earthly planets, na sarvabhauma, narasadhipatyam, neither I want to enjoy the lower planetary systems. Na yoga siddhir, I do not desire to be the master of the powers of some yoga, some mystic yoga. Apunar bhavamsa, neither I want liberation. Samanjasa tvar virahasya kankse, because if I aspire for all this, I have to give up your lotus feet. But I don't want to give up your lotus feet, Krishna. So I don't want. Then Vrtasura himself said, "Okay, let me give 3 examples to show how I seriously, intensely long for the association of the Supreme Lord." And then he prays. He says, "Ajat bhaksha eva mataram khaga stanyam yathavat sar tarashudartha priyam priyeva vishitam vishanna manoravindashtidrikshate tvam." So he gives 3 examples. And he gives the first example of a baby bird. That how baby bird, Ajatu Paksha, they have yet not developed their wings, but they anxiously look for their mother so that mother can come and feed them. But he says that he gives the example of a baby bird. But then Vrtasura says, "Well, I don't even want that." Then he gives the example of a calf, stanyam yatha vatsara shudartha, that how the small calves, they are tied with ropes and they also wait anxiously the time of milking when they will be allowed to drink the milk of their mothers. But then Supreme Lord may have said that, "Oh, so that means you desire some happiness?" Because just how the baby birds and the calf, they wait for it. For what? To satisfy their belly. So you want some happiness? So I'm not much satisfied. Then he gives another example. Priyam priyeva vishutam vishanna. That just like a morose wife whose husband is away from home, always longs for him to return and satisfy her in all respects. So here is the exchange. Here is the exchange where the husband satisfies the wife and the wife serves the husband and satisfy the husband. So he says, Mano Ravindaksh Didrikshatvam. Therefore, I always yearn for the opportunity to render direct service unto you. Oh Lord, I want to serve you, but at the same time, I want to be satisfied by serving you. Then Vrtasura thought, "Oh, no, I, I should be very humble. This is not the way that I can approach the Supreme Lord. How can I ask the Supreme Lord this privilege to satisfy me? No, this is not right. This is not the right attitude." But then, finally, Vrtasura says, ममोत्तमश्लोकजनेषु सख्यं संसारचक्रे भ्रमता स्वकर्मभिः त्वन्माययातात्मजदारगैषव आसक्तचित्तस्य ननाथ भूयात्. Then he said, "Oh my Lord, oh my Master, I'm wandering throughout this material world. Mamottam shloka janeshu sakyam samsara chakre. I'm samsara chakre brahmata. I am wandering throughout the material world as a result of what? Swakarma bhi, as a result of my karmas only. Therefore, I simply seek friendship in the association of your pious and enlightened devotees. Mamattam shloke janeshu sakhyam. I want the association of your devotees. My attachment to my body, wife, children, and home is continuing by the spell of your Maya, by the spell of your external energy, but I wish to be attached to them no longer. Let my mind, my consciousness, and everything that I have be attached only to you. Isn't it a beautiful prayer that we all aspire for? And therefore, Prabhupada also says that learn some prayers from Srimad Bhagavatam and recite it in front of the Lord. These prayers are very potent because they are coming from the lotus mouth of the great Vaishnavas. So after Vrtasura, he finished speaking like this, praying like this. He came back to his senses and he released his trident against King Indra, and with great anger. But Indra, then using his thunderbolt, he for many times, which was more powerful than trident, he broke the trident to pieces and cut off Vrtasura's one arm. Vrtasura was still fighting. With remaining one arm, he struck Indra with an iron mace, making the thunderbolt fall from Indra's hand. Indra became so ashamed of this because practically, if somebody loses a weapon in the battlefield, then it's a kind of a defeat. So Indra felt so ashamed of picking up the thunderbolt from the ground. But Vrtasura, he encouraged Indra. He said, "Go ahead and pick it up and fight again." But this time Indra was very powerful and he threw his thunderbolt and he severed Vrtasura's another arm. So Vrtasura, without any arms, but still very convicted and determined in fighting, he assumed a gigantic form and then he swallowed Indra along with Airavat. When Vrtasura swallowed Indra, he thought, now I have killed Indra. There is no more need of any fight. Let me go back home, back to Godhead. He stopped all his bodily activities and he became situated in trance. Then, taking advantage of Vrtasura's silence, and Indra, who was there in the belly of Vrtasura, he was protected by the Narayan Kavacha that was given to him by Vishwarup. So he got protected even in the belly of Vrtasura. But then Indra used his thunderbolt and pierced the abdomen of Vrtasura and came out. Bhagavatam explains that actually Vrtasura, he already has left his body before his abdomen was pierced by Indra. So Vrtasura, though killed, was not killed because in his original consciousness, Vrtasura has returned back home, back to Godhead, and became an associate of Lord Sankarshan. What Indra killed was just mere the body of Vrtasura. So there is another lesson that one should always keep one's mind completely absorbed in the remembrance of Krishna. When we do that, then no matter whatever pains come to us, we don't feel like, especially the physical pain that one feels at the time of death, when the time of life's final exam. So devotees, they take death as an opportunity to serve their worshipable Lord. So we saw in the entire pastime that how Indra, he offended his spiritual master. He did Brahmahatya by killing Vishwarup. And then he became also an instrument in the death of Dadichi Muni. And finally, killing Vrtasura was killing a Vaishnava because Vrtasura was a godly demon. Since Vrtasura was demon, now Parikshit Maharaj has another question. I know it's already 8:54, but before I move forward, I'll take permission from Ishwar Prabhu. Prabhu, is it okay if I can go 10-15 minutes extra?
Yes, Maharaj, please. We are enjoying you fully this class.
It's all Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhu. So when Vrtasura was killed, he was a demon, But Parikshit Maharaj, he wondered and he asked Sukadev Goswami, I want to know that how such an exalted devotee, how he became an exalted devotee even on the battlefield. He was a demon, but how he was reciting these beautiful prayers. I want to know about the past life of Vrtasura. Then our Sukadev Goswami narrates the entire pastime of King Chitraketu. That how Chitraketu, the king of Surasen, he had 10 million wives, but no sons. But he got an opportunity to meet the great sage Angira Muni and Narada Muni. And when Angira Muni inquired from the king Chitraketu about his welfare, at that time the king expressed his moroseness, that how he has 10 million wives, he has all the opulence of the world, but he doesn't have a son. Then by the mercy of that great sage, the king's first wife, whose name was Kritadyuti, gave birth to a son. But then Angira Muni said that his name should be Harshashok, because he will be the cause of happiness and lamentation. But in so much elatedness, Chitraketu didn't pay any heed that how this son can be the cause of both happiness and lamentation. Then upon the birth of his son, the king and all the residents of the palace, they all were very happy. But the co-wives of Kritadyuti, they were not happy. Because when Kritadyuti gave birth to a son, naturally Chitraketu was attached and became affected towards Kritadyuti. And not knowingly, unknowingly, he rejected all the wives. But rest of the wives, they became envious and they administered poison to a child, and the child died. The lesson that we learn from here is that how enviousness makes one heart so hard-hearted that one loses all sense of discrimination. And then one takes to such a destructive actions that we see here in the case of the co-wives of Kritadyuti, that they didn't feel any shame in killing a young child. They poisoned him, and finally the child was dead. Chitraketu became overwhelmed at the shock. He became overwhelmed by the shock of hearing his son's death. And when he heard, he almost became blind. His lamentation grew like a blazing fire, and he fell unconscious. At that time, Angira Muni, along with Narad Muni, came again to console Chitraketu. So this is also an important lesson that we should learn, that how hankering and lamentation, they both are wrong. Because see how Chitraketu was hankering to have a child. We hanker for some things and then we lose it, then we lament for it. And that's what Chitraketu was. And then what we do, not Chitraketu, but we conditioned souls, when we lament, then unaware of the subtle laws of nature, we start blaming others. And not only others, we start blaming and questioning the Supreme Lord for one's own misery. So we have to understand that the relationships in this world, the possessiveness that we have in this world, they all are temporary. Finally, Angira Rishi and Narad Muni, they both consoled Chitraketu and relieved him from the lamentation he had by instructing him in some spiritual significance of life. The king listened this time very attentively, and finally he was relieved from the false lamentation. So Narad Muni, Bhagavatam explains that with his mystic power, he brought the sun back to life. And he told the son that this is your father, this is your mother. Come back and rule the earth, rule as a king. But then the boy said, in which life they are my mother and father. So the later the child was again dead, but gave a very good lesson to Chitraketu Maharaj. And then Chitraketu Maharaj very submissively approached Angira Muni and Narad Muni and asked for the true identity of one's life, that who am I, spiritual identity. And they surrendered, and he surrendered to both of them. So when one searches for happiness, one must certainly lament for bodily relationships, and this is the key for one's self-realization. So Chitraketu Maharaj, on the order of his spiritual masters, he meditated on Lord Sankarshan for 7 nights, and he left his body and boarded the airplane to go to Sankarshan Loka. Then when he was traveling, he was traveling this way, and he wandered into the in the caves of Sumeru mountain, where he came upon and he saw Lord Shiva, on whose lap Mother Parvati was sitting. And Lord Shiva was surrounded by the assemblies of all the sages, Siddhas and Charanas, and Lord Shiva was instructing them on Srimad Bhagavatam. Seeing Lord Shiva in that situation, Chitraketu Maharaj expressed his fear, his wonder, that he smiled and he said that how Lord Shiva is giving Srimad Bhagavatam class while keeping Mother Parvati on his lap. And that to all the renounced sages, or those who are in the renounced order of life. So Lord Shiva didn't say anything, he just smiled. And but Chitraketu Maharaj intention was that yes, Shiva is Lord, so he can do anything. There is no harm if he performs any wrongdoings. But ignorant people, they misunderstand. They will misunderstand some things, and if they perform, then they will definitely be the recipient of some ignoring some dharmic principles, and people will criticize them, and thus they will be destroyed for the offense they commit. But yeah, Lord Shiva is okay, but he is not setting up the right example. Lord Shiva, he understood. He was not defaming Lord Shiva. Definitely Lord Shiva didn't take it as infamy. But he understood Chitraketu's intention, so he kept silent. And even Bhagavatam explains that even the assembly, those sages who were there, they also, they also kept silent. Because if Chitraketu Maharaj's word was some kind of blasphemy to Lord Shiva, then they would have also blocked their ears and they would have also left. But they kept silent, they stayed there. So Chitraketu Maharaj never meant to insult Shiva. Just in a friendly way, he said, but it was like a criticism, passing comments. And Chitraketu Maharaj was somewhat also proud of achieving the direct association of Lord Sankarshan, the favor of Lord Sankarshan. So he very boldly, fearlessly took an audacity to criticize and correct Lord Shiva. So this is another important lesson that we have to learn when we see dosh darshanam, when we see faults in others. So when we see that faults, we should try to introspect our own self. That what am I doing? So FAULT, if you take it as an acronym, it means a lot. Where F stands for that one should always focus on good in others first before speaking anything. Before finding fault, find 10 good things in others. Then A stands for accept whether I have that eligibility to correct others or not. Do I have that adhikar or not? If yes, it's okay. But if no, we should just keep quiet. Then U stands for that if I have the adhikar to correct others, then that correction should be to uplift others. Uplift them in their spiritual life, not to pull them down. And then L stands for learn to sometime leave the things in the hands of Krishna instead of directly going into it and correcting yourself, others. So don't jump into it. Sometimes we have to leave things onto Krishna. Let the equation be with Krishna and the devotee. And T stands for that we should tolerate. Sometimes we have to tolerate. So tolerate and let the things go on and settle on its own. So same here. Though Lord Shiva accepted, but Parvati Devi, she got really offended. She became so angry that she cursed him to become a demon. Chitraketu Maharaj, he descended from his airplane. He bowed down before Parvati with great humility and pleased her completely and accepted the curse with folded hands. Then Lord Shiva, he said to Parvati Devi Narayana Parava Sarve, Nakutaschana Bibhyati, Swarga Pavarga Narkeshwar, Apitulyartha Darshina. That the devotees who solely engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan, they never fear any condition of life. For him, the heavenly planets, liberation, and the hellish planets, they all are same, because devotees are interested only and only in the service of the Lord. That same Chitraketu appeared in the sacrifice of Twashta as the demon Vrtasura, endowed with transcendental knowledge and practical realization that he showed on the battlefield while fighting with Indra. So there, Sukadev Goswami, he ends this pastime by giving the past life of Vrtasura, that how Chitraketu Maharaj was cursed and how he became Vrtasura. So we have already understood the pastime. We got to learn so many life lessons also. But there is one main takeaway lesson that we should learn, and that is, do not judge a book by its cover. We have learned so many pastimes, yes, so many lessons also, but we should not judge a book by its cover. From Vritrasur pastime, the entire pastime that spans from so many chapters in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, we get to learn that we should not judge a person by its external features. Even though Vritrasura was a demon, but still he was an exalted bhakti yogi. He was able to propound the deep transcendental knowledge even in the fight for his life. A person may be born in some low family, but he may be spiritually advanced. And someone who may be born in some respectable family may be spiritually blind. So that doesn't give that discrimination. One's spiritual progress carries from life after life. Just like we saw that how Chitraketu, he became demon, Vritrasura in next life, but he carried the spiritual advancement with him even in the life of a demon when he became Vritrasura. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Neha bikamro nastaste, pratyavo na vidyate, swalpamapi asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. That's the small little progress we do bhakti yoga never goes in vain. It is never lost. It is never diminished. Even the little progress that we make, it saves us from the greatest danger. And it gives us the greater opportunity to make further advancement in our spiritual life. Vritrasura's story also tells us that how everyone and anyone is eligible for this process of bhakti yoga, no matter that whether the person is born in a demoniac family, like Srila Prahlad Maharaj, or anyone who is in the lower family, like Srila Haridas Thakur. He was a close associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was born in a Muslim family, but still he was given the name, he was given the designation of Namacharya, whom we all worship, who is the spiritual teacher of the holy name. Vritrasura tolerated all the reversals in his life. And this is also we have to learn that these reversals will come because this place is full of reversals. But we have to learn to tolerate. How? Understanding that nothing is nityam. Matra sparshastu kauntaya sitosna sukha dukkhada agama paino anityas tam statikshva sabharata. Krishna says, "Oh Arjun, these reversals that comes in our life, which gives up sometimes happiness, sometimes distress, they are all like summer and winter season. They will come, they will go. Nobody asks for. Just like for happiness we don't ask for distress also we don't ask for. They come on their own accord. But the only plus point is that they are anityam. They are not constant. They will come and go. But we have to tolerate. Tamsta tikshvasa bharata. We have to tolerate. Vritrasur also recognizes that everything actually depends on the will of the Supreme Lord. And acknowledging one's dependence on the Lord is the most important thing in the process of Bhakti Yoga. That how we show that every step of our life, we are dependent on Lord. And that we all should learn to practice in our own life, following in the footsteps of this great godly demon, Vrtasura. So I'm sorry I took little extra time, but here on this note, we will end our session here. Thank you all so much. Thank you for patiently listening. Thank you for all of your association. And thank you, Ishwar Krishna Prabhu, for giving me 10 minutes extra so that I can complete and do some justice to this pastime.
Thank you, Maraji, for the wonderful class, beautiful presentation, and elaborate illustration and driving lessons for each and every instant, as we progress in the story. Thank you very much, Mataji. I know we are out of time, so I will ask all devotees to unmute yourself and say thanks to Mataji with chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra 3 times.
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare Rama, Rama
Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Hare Ram,
Krishna
Ram Ram,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Rama,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Rama, Ram Ram.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna,
you
Hare
very
Krishna.
much,
Hare Krishna.
Mataji.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
Mataji.
very much. Thank you.
Hare Krishna
Yeah,
Mataji.
thank you so much, Mataji.
Wonderful class.
Thank you.
Titanam.
Tanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo.
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव
Krishna Vrinda ki jai.
Yeah.
और
Jai.
वैष्णवस की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, ग्रंथराज
Jai.
श्रील भागवतम की जय.
Yeah.
Jai.
Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna Mataji.
Thank you,
Wonderful
Mataji.
class.
Hare Krishna.
Can you share
Hare
the
Krishna.
slides, please?
Mataji, there's request for slides.
Oh, yeah, sure. Sure, I will send it. Should I send it to Ishwar Krishna Prabhu?
Yes, and I think we have this class recorded, and then we will be sharing the link also, YouTube link also for this class.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, dear devotees. We will see you tomorrow again with the next class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare.